Not directed at anyone in particular, but the question is that given that the Sri Lankan government has been dismissive of diplomatic and democratic efforts to bring about a viable resolution to the Tamils issue, to what degree can the international community expect to work with the Sri Lankan government to bring about change or self-determination to Tamils?
It's absolutely true that the government of Sri Lanka is intransigent on the issues at present time. I think part of that is due to the fact that governments such as Canada, the Western governments, and others not only themselves didn't act together in concert, but didn't go out to the rest of the world trying to get the same kind of approach that would have been helpful. So while the Western and other governments were sitting quietly by, the government of Sri Lanka was actively going out for the votes in the non-aligned movement, in the organization of the Islamic Conference, in the Arab League, and in all these other sort of political subgroups around the world. It ended up with a rather humorous, if it weren't so disgusting, arrangement and alignment of countries, whereas governments that would oppose the United States, for instance, and military outposts were in fact supporting the Sri Lankan government, and it was against those other governments' interests. So the government of Sri Lanka takes an extremely aggressive international lobbying policy. And the Western and other governments, particularly the government of Canada, was not also seeking alliances. So it got out of hand. When the government of Canada and the Western governments as a whole decide they're going to fan out and do their arm twisting and pressurizing, I think there may be a change.
I would like to add a few points to that. I don't know how many of you followed the vote in the Human Rights Council, and surprisingly, South Africa, which is supposedly supporting the Tamil cause, voted against the Tamils in the organization. The Canadian Tamil Congress sent 3 representatives to the meeting to present our case, and they actually confronted the South African representative and told them that we in Canada fought to eliminate the apartheid regime in South Africa. Why would you want to support an oppressive regime? It turns out that there are national interests. Chinese government has a lot of interest in South Africa, and they arm twisted the South African government to vote for this. So what it tells me is that we as a diaspora have a lot of work to do. We had to be united, we had to be strong, we had to be loud. So I want all of your support. No matter what political party, please go and speak to your own MPs. It doesn't matter what party it is, but I think you need to have a political voice in this country to get the government to speak louder for us. I'm not saying for us, I would say for the right thing. I believe our cause is right, just open their eyes. And the only way to open their eyes is to speak in unison.
So in regards to are we willing to or could we work with the Sri Lankan government? I don't think they've given us the necessary signs that they're willing to work for the betterment of the Tamil people in Sri Lanka, right? You know, they've bombed the safe zones, and once the UNOSAT images were out, they had no remorse. Their only response was, why is UN spying on Sri Lanka when it's a member state? Right? They've also haven't allowed NGOs or media outlets in there, and that has nothing to do with the war anymore. That's simply trying to cover the truth. So I think if they're willing to help out the Tamil people, I don't think we are going to oppose that, but they have to show the necessary signs that they're willing to better the lives of the Tamil people in Sri Lanka.